everybody, welcome back to my channel, where stories and other random things take center stage. This is hopefully the last time I filmed this one video because I didn't like the first one, but welcome to today's video where I'll be reviewing Aurora Rising by Amie Kaufman and Kristoff. I'm actually pretty excited for this one because I have read from this author duo before and I liked it a lot. I believe I recommended it at least once. Their series is called the Illuminae Files. So I believe I at least recommended it once, and I can't remember, but I did highly enjoy that series. It's told in mixed media and like emails and IMs and documents and a bunch of other things like that, and it was just shown so well that I actually really enjoyed it, and it had a full cast and everything. So I did enjoy it, that series, and I'm pretty happy to have read the Aurora Cycle. I was actually pretty excited to read it. I wanted to read it before, but never got around to it till this year, and well, not this year, but last year. And I got the books after, I think I got like 3 credits at some point and just got the series and then decided to read it, and it did not disappoint. I will say I have read something from Kristoff before. I haven't read anything from Amie Kaufman on her own, but I have read Kristoff's Nevernight book. I have genuine issues with that book. I do want to reread it because I actually do want to do a review on it, but also, even though I have issues with that book, I still found myself continuing to read, and I still wanted to finish the series. But I am happy that this author duo wrote another series because Aurora Rising was actually pretty good. And let's begin, though, by giving you the summary. Here we go. From the international best-selling authors of the Illuminae Files comes an epic new science fiction adventure. The year is 2380, and the graduating cadets of Aurora Academy are being assigned their first missions. Star pupil Tyler Jones is ready to recruit the squad of his dreams, but his own boneheaded heroism sees him stuck with the dregs nobody else in the academy would touch. A cocky diplomat with a black belt in sarcasm, a sociopath scientist with a fondness for shooting her bunkmates, a smartass tech whiz with the galaxy's biggest chip on his shoulder, an alien warrior with anger management issues, a tomboy pilot who's totally not into him, in case you were wondering. And Ty's squad isn't even his biggest problem. That'd be Aurora G. Lynn O'Malley, the girl he's just rescued from interdimensional space. Trapped in cryo sleep for 2 centuries, Ori is a girl out of time and out of her depth, but she could be the catalyst that starts a war millions of years in the making, and Tyler's squad of losers, discipline cases, and misfits might just be the last hope for the entire galaxy. They're not the heroes we deserve. They're just the ones we could find. Nobody panic! I will say, I highly enjoyed this series, and I also very highly enjoy stories about misfits and outcasts because I love watching how they basically just kind of nobody seems to expect anything of them, like at all. They either expect nothing or they have super low expectations of them, and it's great to watch how they tend to prove people wrong. I enjoy watching reading these stories so they prove people wrong. Also, I know it's a little bit of a petty reason and a stupid reason too, but it's also kind of great to read them because at least for me, when I do certain things, such as job searching, or trying to get a job or whatever, it feels like society half the time expects so little of me because I'm blind, that reading these feels kind of inspiring. It's a stupid reason, but it's also, it kind of helps me, like, for me, it's like, oh, I am one of these people, you know, I am a bit of an outcast in a way, and it feels kind of gratifying and sort of um, very it feels also in a way, it feels like what is that called? What is that word? It's the same word I used to describe Olivia Rodrigo's Sour album. It is um, validating, I guess. I'm pretty sure it's not the word I used, but it's like, it's kind of like validating in a way, that it is something that, you know, you feel that you are that way, but you know you're better too. And in a way, I feel like this squad sort of knows they're much they're better than what people expect from them. But some of them, for example, feel an entirely different way about themselves, and it was an interesting it was an interesting thing to know. And yeah, it's a bit of a petty reason why I enjoy Misfit stories, but it kind of works. Other than that, though, big things. Writing and pacing, very well done. I got through this in an audiobook, and I enjoyed it. Of course I did, because audiobooks are amazing. And of course, Steve West was narrating one of the characters, so even better. If you don't know, Steve West is basically like my vocal crush. If I could marry a voice, it would be his voice. Like, it's just amazing. It's beautiful. I have there are books I would pick up just because he narrates them. There's a book called Why We Sleep that I'm literally looking into picking up, mainly because he narrates it. It is published in 2017, so not all the information might be, I mean, at least some of the information might still be relevant, but I don't mind. I just want to hear him narrate nonfiction. This is so bad. Okay. Anyway, basically, yeah. So I, for one, do have. I did enjoy the book, right? I did have fun reading it. I think the pacing was great, and so was the writing. I think this duo author just writes really well. And I highly enjoyed the fact that because it was an audiobook, it was narrated by different characters, different narrators. It was basically a full cast. It mainly told the story in traditional narrating, but it also goes into, it kind of like touches a little bit on mixed media. There's like a scene with like a group chat, and you have like the different narrators talking as they're texting. And you also have like data entries because Ori is trying to learn about the world, so we get to learn about the world through the data entries that I guess that she's reading. So I thought that was really cool, and we get to learn about the different positions each squad gets. There's basically six, right? There are six, and I'm gonna like describe them a little bit here. So there is there's the squad leader, which is just Tyler. They're supposed to they're kind of like they have like a pretty big thing on like tactics, and they know all about, they kind of like they lead you, you know, you follow their orders, or their and stuff like that. Then there's the face, who is basically Scarlet, also known as the diplomat with the black belt in sarcasm. I love her so much. Then there's the ace, who is basically the tomboy pilot that totally has nothing to do, is not interested in Tyler. Oh, and by the way, I felt like their friendship story was actually hilarious. Turns out that she, basically he hit her, or something like that, or at least bumped into her. I can't remember, and she basically took a chair and flipped him with it, and he has a scar on his eyebrow because of it. And it's also Scarlet and Tyler are twins. Then there is the gearhead, which is basically the person that fixes things. and that is our tech whiz with the biggest chip on his shoulder, which I feel is very interesting to talk about because he is the one character with a disability in this one, and and throughout the books I do feel like it's treated quite well, which I mean I could be wrong, but I don't know anything about it, but I felt like at least in the major parts it was treated well, such as in the fact that it didn't feel like inspiration porn. Ugh, inspiration porn. It didn't feel like inspiration porn, and it definitely didn't feel like he was just there to fit a box, or even to it didn't feel like Finian was there to just like to be a pawn in the plot, basically. That's the way I'm reading it. So yeah. What's the other one? Oh, yes. Then we have the tank, which is Cal, one of my favorite characters. I love him, and he's also narrated by Steve West, so that also helps. They basically are your fighters. And then there is, last but not least, the brain, and that is Zila, who, as I continued reading the books, basically became like my favorite character, along with Cal, and then everybody else, and then Scarlet, and then it's just I just felt I just like love Zila. Zila is amazing. She's also, oh, by the way, Cal is also the warrior with anger management, and then Zila is the sociopathic scientist with the person who usually likes to shoot at people. She is a very good shot by the book's descriptions. And it's lovely. It's lovely. I like that we got most of these characters' point of views. I will say that in this book, I would have hoped to have read more into Zila's point of view. She got a couple of chapters, but they were mainly pretty short. And I think this was a bit of a downfall in this book, but I think that the other books definitely remedy it, so we're gonna do that. Overall, I think it was great. Aurora's entrance was interesting. I enjoyed seeing the act. It looked like almost like a combined science and magic in a way, and I thought that was really interesting. I also enjoyed the way that when Aurora woke up, how different things were for her, and how being in a place you really don't belong in kind of feels interesting. Like, you know, how you kind of felt that from her, and I think that was a good a good transition. It was interesting to see her character develop as well as everybody else's. I will say I'm going to miss Cat through the books. I mean, she's still there in a way, but I'm not going to spoil what happens, but something happens in the book, and I'm just like, oh no! And I really liked Kat's narrator, actually. She was amazing. And so was Scarlett's narrator, and so was the other narrators, such as Jonathan McLean, who also does, who narrates Tyler. Some of these narrators were familiar ones, and the main ones I can't think of all the names correctly, but Jonathan McLean also narrates, what is this dude's name? Ezra in Illuminae. So he's also the love interest, who gets narrated by them. Then there was Donabella Martel, who narrates Zila. She played in Illuminae. She narrated Winifred McCall. Loved her very much. Of course, there's Steve West, who in Illuminae specifically, he was in the second book, and I cannot remember the name of the second book, but basically he was there, and he played a guy whose name I really cannot remember, which is the sad part. So yeah. So no, yeah, he played, there are some familiar narrators. If you've read Illuminae or if you listened to Illuminae through audiobook, there are some very familiar narrators that you'll find, at least those three. Oh, and Finian, the guy that narrates Finian also narrated, was also Aiden's voice in Illuminae. So there are some very familiar narrators if you have heard the Illuminae series. So definitely awesome. Definitely I had fun reading it. It was very interesting. It was very enjoyable. So yeah, let me know what you think of Aurora Rising. I will be back next time with a review of Aurora Burning, which is the second book. And I look forward to seeing you then. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in my next video. Until then, consume stories. Bye!